This is Full Count, the show for baseball fans by baseball fans that takes the extra base and delivers a save each and every week. Presented by Dinger Bats and DingerBats.com. Now here are your hosts, the round mound of sound, Keith Gibson, and owner of Dinger Bats, Kyle Drone.
Play ball!
Hello again, baseball fans. Welcome to Full Count. Keith Gibson here, bringing you another great edition alongside me, my co-host, Kyle Drone. And Kyle, it's been a great week of baseball. We've had a lot of hot starts, a lot of surprises, and a lot of things, maybe even a brawl in a couple games.
Yeah, a little shoving match going on.
But great to see baseball back, great to see fans in the stands, and we've got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about the All-Star game getting moved from Atlanta to Colorado and a move by Major League Baseball. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. We're going to talk to Nick Carey. He's going to be our Clubhouse Chat this week. He's doing American Ballpark Roadtrip, and he is going to talk to us about the different venues he's going to visit, about the different old ballparks in history, and some things he's doing with that and putting it on YouTube. That'll be a fun, interactive chat with him as well. And then we're going to talk about a little Reds-Cardinals brawl. Your Cardinals, of course, starting it early this year.
Yep.
We'll talk a little bit about that. But, hey, good week this week for you?
Yeah, great week, busy week. Got to watch a lot of baseball, though, in between. So got to see a little bit of everything, some walk-offs, some pitching duels, like you said, a little bit of brawling. So about everything you want to see in the first week of baseball.
Agreed. And stay tuned with us because later on we'll have our Take Our pick. We're going to pick our division winners and playoff contenders. And I'm anxious to see what you come up with, Kyle Drone. I'm pretty sure I know where your NL Central pick's coming from. Homer. But anyway, yeah, I might be with you on that one. But
just wait.
Just wait. And then we'll have on this date in baseball history, of course, our triple play trivia. And then we'll make the call to the pen, and we will we'll finish up the show. And we'll also hear from Kyle about his experience on opening day, as he got to go to Cardinals home opener this week. So let's start things off with our God bless America. Let's start things off with going around the horn here on Full Count. And we'll start with Major League Baseball moving the All-Star game from Atlanta to Colorado this week, taking it out of Atlanta. And Kyle Drone, I don't like to get very political, but I feel like this was a political move by Major League Baseball. Are you okay with Major League Baseball, America's pastime, and the people who making the decisions? Are you okay with them getting political on this being a reason why they took the All-Star game out of Atlanta and moved it to Colorado?
I mean, not particularly. I don't like the political aspect of it, and I haven't heard really. I mean, I know why they're doing it, but I'm not sure that it was taken in consideration long enough. I think it was a snap decision. I mean, I just feel for the fans in Atlanta, the organization, all the businesses around that, have planned probably a couple years for this, and coming off a pandemic, probably expecting this to be a big boost in their, bottom line. So, I just don't like it.
I'm right there with you, man. I don't like the way it was done. I agree with you that I think it was a snap decision. I agree that it wasn't a decision that I thought should have been put in front of maybe all the owners and said, here, you're the owners. Let's make this decision as a team. I think the front office just did that in Major League Baseball, and I don't agree with it. As with you, I worry about the economy. I think the small businesses and businesses around the ballpark and the ballpark itself are looking for a big uptick with everything going on, and they're not going to get that now. You pull all that away, all the signage, all the money spent to promote the All-Star game in 2021 in Atlanta now is for naught.
Right.
Now you've got to redo everything, spend double the money, and now it's moving to Colorado, which, Colorado has put in for an All-Star game. You guys bid on it in the previous few years. They have things set up for it already. I'm sure they'll do a great job.
Yeah, no doubt.
We're spending a lot of money here. That's senseless.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt they'll put on a good product, and who wouldn't want to see the home run derby again in Coors Field? So, yeah, it's not really about anything against the Rockies so much as I just feel for the Atlanta organization.
Yeah, I do too. I'm right with you, and I agree with you that I think a home run derby in Colorado is going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
The ball flies there, so it'll be fun.
Especially with the new format. I love the new format.
Me too. So, I just do feel bad for Atlanta. I feel bad for the community. I feel bad for the entire organization. Now, the Texas governor came out and said he didn't want any part of Major League Baseball's All-Star game or anything. They opened up their field, Globe Life Field, the brand new one last year, for the playoffs and for the World Series, and hosted that. And he said that won't happen anymore. He didn't like the move that they made and made the decision. So
Wow.
you have people for the move, like Derek Jeter, the CEO of the Marlins, who was in favor of this. But then you have like the Texas governor who was not in favor of it. So there's sides on both, but it's something that I just can't agree with Major League Baseball on this one. Not for the reason, not because they moved it. It's the way they did it, not because they did it.
Right.
If that makes sense.
No, I agree.
Other things going on. It was a hot start for the next coming of Babe Ruth, Shohei Ohtani, the Angels two-way star. Last Sunday night put on a show, pitching 102 miles an hour, and then hitting a 2-run homer. How impressed, Kyle Drone, are you with Shohei so far early this season?
Oh, I mean, he's phenomenal. To be able to do that athletically, I mean, it's unmatched. Nobody's done it since Ruth, I guess. And he, wasn't necessarily the most physical fit guy, but the way they train now, it's a different world. But his makeup, his body, his talent is it's unreal.
It's crazy that he can throw 102, see 102 mile an hour fastball, and turn on it and take it out yard.
Right.
It's just his eye-hand coordination is unreal. His athleticism is unreal. If he stays healthy, that it's a big boost to the Angels.
No doubt. He could be the boost or the catalyst that helps Trout. No doubt Trout's the best player in baseball, or arguably the best player in baseball. But to have another guy behind him, and then you got Rendon in that lineup as well. Yeah, I think this is their year.
They got off to a hot start. They've got some pitching in Bundy. They've got some other guys, Shohei. They've got guys like Jared Walsh, too, who had a big walk-off for him the other night, a big hit. They've got some talent in Anaheim, but Shohei maybe rising above everything with, if he can get 15 wins and hit 20 homers and drive in 100.
Yeah, I mean,
talk about his next contract. What are we looking at there?
Right.
Mercy.
Yeah, I was going to say, is he going to have to go to the union and get double pay or what?
Well, that's a good question. He might. He's doing double duty. So,
right.
What other things did you see here in this first week that kind of surprised you? A lot of injuries. I've noticed that, too. A lot of stars. George Springer's out with a lat. Tim Anderson of the White Sox on the injured list with hamstring tightness. A lot of guys getting pulled up here early.
Yeah, you got Tatis Jr. That's a scary one. They definitely want to take time with that. He's their future. He's who they're building around. So I hope he's okay there. And, if you, hustle play injuries, I think Bellinger got, knocked up a little bit on a play at first base, but I haven't seen, if he's back yet. That's pretty much it that I saw on the injury side of things.
Tatis Jr. is a big one, and you mentioned that is the fact that he just signed that 14-year, $340 million contract. If you're the Padres, you don't rush him back at all.
No.
Make sure he's healthy. Make sure he comes back, because he's too valuable, and he's costing you too much money, not just now,
For sure.
but for the next 14 years. I'm sure there's probably some insurance on that contract, too, as well.
No doubt.
Let's go talk about your Cardinals being bullies already.
I didn't see it that way. But...
first weekend of the season, they get in a shoving fight with the Cincinnati Reds. So if you're just tuning in and maybe you missed that, Nick Castellanos, the Reds right fielder, was hit by a pitch in the fourth inning, and then picked up the ball and just kind of held it out towards the pitching mound, and the Cardinals pitcher Woodford. And then a few plays later came around and scored. Kyle Jordan, all he did was flex. He showed his guns, He just happened to be right at Woodford.
Well, now there's flexing, in somebody's face, and then there's excited flexing at the crowd, getting the crowd pumped up. And I think he was throwing it in their face. He had a chip on his shoulder for some reason. I don't know if he's just trying to show the Reds that he's new to the Reds, and he's just trying to show that he's all Cincinnati, and because there's bad blood between the Cardinals and the Reds dating back a few years, and that's all I can think of, because I don't think he was thrown at intentionally. And
it's the fourth inning. Of course he wasn't. And I'm not defending him either, because he's the same guy that when everything started to break down, he went over and stood on the side with his hands behind his back and just kind of stood there. So, but Yachty, of course, got up in his face and didn't stood up for the Cardinals, which that's what Yachty does. Of course, that's what a leader does.
No, he has to, yeah.
Right. So not surprised there. But will this have future repercussions later on in the season? Do you think we'll see some retaliation?
Possibly. He may get one in the back, like we talked about before, and if he takes it and goes down to first base, then you move on. And if he takes it and decides to charge or chirp or whatever, we'll see what happens. But
if he's
got to expect it. You got to expect it.
Yeah, if he's smart, he'll just take it in the back and just go down to first. Otherwise, this is going to keep going and going and going.
Yeah, just good old school baseball. You got yours in. You said what you want to say. We're going to make our statement. Let's play the game.
One more thing we want to go over here on the Round the Horn before we take a quick break is baseball is beautiful, Kyle Drone. It's one of those things when things happen, it's just a beautiful thing. And this week, Akil Baddoo of the Detroit Tigers, a Rule 5 pick from the Twins. First pitch he sees in the big leagues, he goes Oppo Taco for a solo shot.
Yep.
And the look on his face, man, have you got to see that yet? If you haven't, folks.
Yeah. I've watched it a few times, watched his parents jumping up and down, celebrating in the stands. It was pretty awesome.
Baddoo had his parents in the stands, and they got to see it as well, as Kyle just said, and it was just a magical moment. But that wasn't his only magical moment this week, man.
No, he had a couple.
The second game he played on the 6th against the Twins, 1-for-1 walk-off single.
Yep.
Drove in a run. In the first series against the Reds, the Rule 5 pick, the guy who wasn't even supposed to make the team, 5 for 11, scored twice, a homer, 7 RBIs.
No, that's a good first week in the big leagues.
That's a good first week. That's not bad whatsoever. Let's hope he continues doing what he does, because it's just fun to watch when you have special moments like that. But, looking forward to that and keeping an eye on him as well. Well, we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back with Nick Henry Carey. Nick is doing an American Ballpark road trip, and he'll tell us all about where he's visiting, what he's doing, and where he's putting his documentary at. You're listening to Full Count on DingerBats.com and 103.5 ESPN Radio.
Today's episode of Full Count is brought to you by Bees Trees.
Bees Trees, your local ISA certified arborist with over 10 years experience, specializing in tree removal, tree trimming, and with free estimates. Call Greg Miller of Bees Trees today at 217-260-4551.
Keith Gibson, Kyle Jerome back here on Full Count, and we thank you for joining us today as we bring in our Clubhouse Chat guest this week, none other than Nick Carey. And Nick is doing an American Ballpark road trip this summer. And Nick, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No problem. Now, Nick, where did this idea come from?
This idea actually started back in 2008. I was just getting into high school, but I had grown up going to minor league baseball games. Either I was with my family in the Chattanooga, Tennessee area during the summers, going to lookout games at the old ballpark, Ingle Stadium, and the new one, or the relatively new one. I think it's 20 years in now, AT&T Field there. Or going to major league games wherever. And I got into high school and asked my grandfather, because he was my my gateway to baseball, and kind of my mom called best friend built in, because I was an only child, but spent a lot of time going to ballparks as a kid. And I decided to put together a road trip when I was getting into high school in 2008. And so we did 2 AAA and 2 big league parks, including, I could call it, still call it the wrong name in Milwaukee, but we went to a Brewers game and then we went down to Wrigley. So that started it. And since then we've done 7 trips over the years, and that's kind of been broken up by my career working in minor league baseball. But that's where everything started. So now I have the opportunity, I think, to circle back around and take that road trip mentality and my background in multimedia and journalism, and try to showcase some communities and teams that people may not have heard of before.
Awesome. Hey, Nick, Kyle Drone here. Thanks for taking the time. Like any baseball fan, this is on the bucket list for so many, and I got to say I'm a little bit jealous. But first question I have for you: which of the ballparks that you have set to visit this summer are you most excited about?
This summer, with pandemic standards and how things are opening, not really sure. But in terms of the show concept, I wanted to try to get back to where I effectively started my career in baseball, and that's a historical ballpark in Sedalia, Missouri, called Liberty Park Stadium. It's an old chicken coop bandbox ballpark, and I worked there as a free intern for a summer in 2014 when I was in college, and really fell in love with it. It's the home to the Sedalia Bombers, who are a college summer league team. So with band standards, things like that, right now the show portion and traveling itself is in the planning stages, but I figured that would be a great place to return and also to showcase. Not a lot of people have heard of it, and I was actually finishing up a book on Charlie Finley, the old Kansas City and then Oakland A's owner, and at one point they were in talks when he was battling the city of Kansas City about some lease deals with the old municipal stadium there to take the A's temporarily to Sedalia to play at Liberty Park Stadium, just to rib the city a little bit. But that says kind of how historic the place is, and it's a wonderful community. It's where the Missouri State Fair is, and so from there, it was really where I can catch a game, and where I'm able to travel and produce some great content and try to put that together in a 20 to 30 minute format and really showcase these places for fans who may not be able to travel or might be looking to travel to places in the future.
Now, you talk about, Nick, the content and show. What people probably don't know yet is you're going to do a YouTube show and have a YouTube channel that kind of follows you to every ballpark you do. Am I right on that?
Yeah, that's the plan. And like I said, in the planning stages now. So even if for whatever reason it doesn't happen in the summer of 2021, going forward, I'd like to make that a possibility. And there are so many great content creators in YouTube, and now the streaming services, Twitch and things like that produce great travel content. And there are a lot of people who have traveled to ballparks, and a lot of the content that I've noticed in watching minor league baseball centric stuff, it's either prospects or ballpark reviews. They're reviewing the stadium, they're reviewing the food, or they're there for the on-field product. Very few of them actually attack the community itself, what makes that community tick in terms of sports and why their team means so much to their community. So that's part of the journalism and the human interest storytelling background that I wanted to take. So right now it's just one show at a time, and getting a pilot shot, hopefully in Sedalia, Missouri, if not this summer, some point in the near future. And being able to showcase that team, that community, and that beautiful ballpark there.
Very nice, very nice. So, out of all the ballparks that you've visited over this course of this tour, you know, you probably got tons of memories. What would you say would be the most memorable game you watched or event that you experienced during this?
You know, when you've been to probably over 50 minor league or
Wow.
Affiliated ballparks, and there are people who have done so many more, and people who have done so many more major league parks at that. But thankfully, I expected this question, and my grandfather and I were traveling. I think it was the 4th or 5th trip we went on, and we visited Cleveland and went to Progressive Field. It was just a random Thursday game, I think, Wednesday or Thursday game. And the Indians were playing the Angels. So it was a late afternoon game, I think, maybe for a TV scheduling. We went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame earlier that day, went over to the ballpark, and we show up. They're playing Indians Angels, and Irvin Santana throws the 7th no-hitter in Angels history.
Wow.
And wins the game 3-1 because the Angels had 3 errors and gave up a run that way unearned. And we're walking out of the ballpark, and we get stopped by a local news camera crew, and I get pulled to interviewing that. So that was the most unique experience for sure.
Awesome.
And Cleveland handled it really well as you can. And that was before they added everything onto the ballpark for the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
But even on the extended video board down the left field line, when the final pitch was thrown, it was an official no-hitter. They said, "Congratulations to Irvin Santana, 7th no-hitter in Angels history." So one of the most memorable things. And just like any big game like that, or a memorable game like that, just happened on an ordinary day for us and for the team, I think.
That's awesome, man.
So you have done a lot of minor league ballparks, working for minor league baseball, which is awesome, by the way. Major league ballparks, how many of those have you been to so far?
The count off the top of my head, 7 4 games, and then I have been outside, or I've toured 2 other ones.
Okay.
So grew up going to Old Turner Stadium, and I feel old calling it old because it's such a short use ballpark. But there, Cleveland, PNC Park twice in Pittsburgh, and then trying to think here, Wrigley Field, Guaranteed Rate Field in Chicago as well. And then, if I get it right, American Family Ballpark in Milwaukee now.
Mm-hmm.
And keep wanting to call it the old name.
Right.
And then trying to think, have to look down my list here as well. But 7 in all, and haven't, unfortunately, and of course, growing up going to Kauffman Stadium as a Royals fan as well. So, and Busch Stadium was just a given growing up in Missouri. So
Right.
I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to ask you, what would you consider your home ballpark? Is it Busch?
No, it's growing up a Royals fan through thick and thin. It's been Kauffman Stadium.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's, for its age, I think still the 2nd or 3rd oldest now, still functionally used, or should be the 3rd, I guess, in Major League Baseball. And it, as much as they do to it, as much as they did to upgrade the fan experience and their capacity to bring fans in after 2014 and 15, it's still one of those ballparks where you can walk up, buy a $15, $20 ticket, sit in the nosebleeds, and you always have a great view of the game. And it has the amenities.
Yeah, Nick, it's actually one of my 2nd or 3rd favorite ballparks. We were talking about before we came on air. There is there's no bad view in the entire place, just because of how everything's built. It's amazing. You can be 30, 40, 50 rows back on the concourse and still see everything. And that's what I love about Kauffman Stadium. Yeah.
And for being casual, even non-fan, I know PNC Park, having been there twice, that's a ballpark experience in itself, whether you're a Pittsburgh fan or not. Taking the opportunity to walk across the Clemente Bridge, come up to that statue of him, and then walk into the ballpark and have that experience as well. And we really enjoyed it. That was before their little spurt of playoff years. So we sat, I think that was probably our fourth or fifth trip that we took, and we sat behind home plate on a Saturday for like $35. They make the playoffs and it becomes a little more expensive. So
Right.
we hit them while they weren't as good, and had a great experience. But I went back a few years later and sat somewhere different, but it was still an amazing experience there. But yeah, I consider Kauffman Stadium still my ballpark home, so to speak, the one I've probably visited the most, and yeah, the hometown team, so to speak.
Nick, where can everybody find all your information at? Where can they follow you on Twitter, Facebook? Tell everybody where they can follow your journey and see you on YouTube.
Yeah, my personal is at Nick Carey, not spelled like Harry Carey, NickCarey 1776. And then the show is at AM Ballpark, capital RT, I believe. So there's that. And then right now it doesn't have a dedicated website, but there is a tab on my personal WordPress site. That's Nick Henry Carey, CAREY.wordpress.com. And there's a tab exclusively for American Ballpark Roadtrip, as I try to get the show off the ground and develop it, leading toward a pilot and hopefully some great content in the future. That's where all the info will be.
Well, we thank you, Nick, for joining us. We wish you the best of luck. Keep, there's some here in Central Illinois. There's some old ballparks too that you could always visit. Danville Stadium's here around there. There's some in Southern Illinois too. If you ever need anything or need some info, we'd be happy to share it with you as well.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thankfully, when you get to Kansas City and east, you do run into those ballparks a little easier. And I worked for a little while as a consultant in Quincy, Illinois. So the rock pile, as they call it there, because of the old WPA built stone outfield wall. So yeah, that's a historical ballpark in itself. But yeah, as the journey continues, YouTube page will go up. Hopefully some more content will go out, but there's a trailer up right now, and that's available at the American Ballpark Road Trip Twitter account.
Perfect. Well, make sure you follow Nick online, follow all his social media. Nick, we thank you for joining us. We'll be right back here on Full Count with our On the State in baseball history and our trivia.
Today's episode of Full Count is brought to you by Morgan's Place.
Morgan's Place Canine Salon has been offering exclusive one-on-one grooming services in the Champaign area for over 12 years, using all natural products, giving lots of love to your dog. Visit www.morgansplace.me to learn more. Morgan's Place, making dogs beautiful.
Welcome back into Full Count. Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone with you. We want to thank our special guest, Nick Henry Carey, for joining us from American Ballpark Road Trip. And Kyle, it sounds like he's got a good plan on him, and one that a lot of people probably be a little jealous of.
Oh, for sure. Any baseball fan would love to visit all the ballparks, especially the big league parks. And but he's taking it a step further and pretty much covering every ballpark, from what I get, that professional baseball has been played in at some point, and documenting the history and the impact it had on that community at the time frame when it was booming. So it's very interesting stuff. Any baseball fan, I would think, would really enjoy his stuff. So check him out.
Yeah, definitely make sure you follow Nick and the American Ballpark Road Trip on his website and YouTube, and we will as well. And maybe somewhere down the line we'll bring Nick back and see where his trip's taking him. So, but now we're going to go to our segment called Take Your Pick. Last week we did our MVPs, our Cy Youngs, Manager of the Year, and World Series winner. This week we're talking division winners and playoff contenders. So let's start, Kyle Jerome, with you. We're National League guys through and through. I think everybody's probably after week one has figured that out. We're Midwest guys from National League guys. We like to hit and run and like to steal bases. Me, not so much the stealing bases, but it's okay. But let's start in the American League. Let's start there in the American League East. You've had the Red Sox who are down. You have the Orioles who are going to be tough. Orioles going to be tough. I hope that's your pick. No, seriously. Who you got in the American League East when all is said and done here in 2021?
Yeah, in American League East, I've got young team. Got a lot of thump in their bats. Got a lot of speed. Catch the ball. Decent pitching. I'm going with the Blue Jays. They're young, energetic, and if they can stay healthy, I think they can be extremely competitive and take the division.
I like that pick. I think they've got a lot of talent. You know, they brought in Springer, who's hurt right now, but I think they'll get him back at some point. You talk about Bichette, Biggio, Guerrero, Gurriel Jr., they've got they got Ryu in the rotation as well. That's a great pick. I think that, they could even make a couple moves at trade deadline to even bolster that roster as well. So that's a great pick for you. But I'm going to go a different route. I think the Blue Jays are going to be tough. But, man, it's just hard to bet against the Yankees. It really is with that lineup. When you talk about Aaron Judge and Stanton and Gardner still there and Urshela and Sanchez, up and down, they are talented. They have a lot of pop, and they're going to score some runs.
Yeah, no doubt. And then you got a frontline pitcher in Cole that's going to shut them down every time, it seems like. I just worry about the two big guys getting hurt. Stanton seems to get hurt a lot, and, Judge, a little bit here and there, and he's still young. So we'll see. I mean, they're definitely a force to be reckoned with when they're all clicking, but we'll just have to see how the course of the season goes.
That's a great point you made. Stanton has had trouble staying on the field, and he's just DHs anymore. I mean, maybe he should never left Miami.
Maybe.
Who knows? All right, let's go to the Central. Let's talk American League Central. I told you last week, I said it right here on the show. The White Sox are my 2021 World Series winner, so of course I have them winning the Central, even without Eloy for 4 to 6 months. Who do you got, Kyle Drone, in the American League Central?
Well, I mean, I tried every which way I could to come up with a way to disagree with you on this.
Of course you did.
And the way they've come out early, even though their win-loss record's, 500 or whatever, but, Giolito and Rondon are just two frontline starters, and they look really good right now. If they can carry that through the season, they're going to score runs. They're going to catch the ball. So, I'm going to go with the White Sox with you.
Great choice. And, and what people forget is they still have Dallas Keuchel and Lance Lynn there now, too. I mean, that's a pretty formidable top four in your rotation. So, they got the pitching there. They've got offense, so it'll be anxious to see what they do. All right, let's head out west. I know you like out west. I really do. I know those Mariners are on top of your list, aren't they?
Not quite.
Oh,
but okay. They're good. They are a good team. They're not making it this year anyway. It's not really a homer pick, but I'm a huge Angels fan, or I'm a huge Mike Trout fan rather, and I think this is the year they put it together. We talked about Shohei, and maybe Pujols can contribute. In his last year, his curtain call, so to speak, and they've got some good young pieces as well. So I think this is their year. I don't think the Astros have enough to withstand the season and take it. I do think they'll be in there, but just not as the division winner.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I agree with you. I think this is the year the Angels put it all together and get in. I think Joe takes them to the promised land. Trout finally gets in. They've got some pitching. They Shohei. They've got Bundy. I agree. Everything you said was right. Man, I hate saying that.
What was that?
I hate saying that you're right.
We'll get used to it.
Let's go wild card in the American League. Who you got?
Well, American League, I got your Yankees, and then I got the Astros. I had a couple, the Astros was like a last minute decision. I had a couple right there with them, but if Greinke, can take the reins and lead them, I think they'll be able to make it.
I fortunately went with one of your two teams that you said. I went with the Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays will be a wild card team this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm taking. You're right on the Astros. I just don't see they have enough pitching to go in.
Right.
Verlander's not there. I'm going the Minnesota Twins.
It's a good pick. They were right there. They were my debatable.
Yep. So I'm taking the Twins as a second wild card. I don't think they'll get past that, but I think they'll get in.
It's a good pick.
Let's go National League now. And we'll start in the East, a very loaded National League East. You're talking Marlins, Mets, Braves, Phillies, and Nats. I'd say 4 of those 5 have a chance to win the division. So who do you have at the end of 2021 winning the NL East?
I mean, that division is going to be a tough battle within itself the whole way through. But I think a few of those teams are going to pick up a lot of wins in the Central and the West because they're, the weaker of the 3. But I'm going to go, based on all around pitching, because I think offensively and defensively, the rest of the teams match up pretty good. I'm going to go with the Nats.
Taking the Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I tell you what, I like that pick. I do. I sincerely do. The fact that they've got Lester, Scherzer, Corbin, Strasburg in that rotation, as long as everybody stays healthy, they should be there. They picked up Bell from Pittsburgh, Josh Bell.
Mm-hmm.
They picked up Schwarber from the Cubs as in the free agency. So they've added a little pop to the lineup to go with Soto and Trey Turner and some of those guys as well. So I think their big question mark, and they're still trying to replace him, is replacing Rendon, who went out to Anaheim, the Angels,
right
2 seasons ago. They're still trying to replace that bat and his glove on that team. They still haven't done it because Carter Keyboom's just not the answer.
Not yet, anyway.
No, but on that saying that, man, I hate doing this. I'm not agreeing with you. I'm not. I'm taking the Phils. I'm taking the fighting Phils to win the division. I think they got enough pitching, and I think Bryce Harper has a huge year. I think they do it with Real Muto back. They've got Hoskins there. They've got some pieces to put together. I think they'll be all right, and I think they're going to win the division come 2021. So the Phils, it's a long shot. Don't get me wrong.
Well, I mean, it's all like you said. It's going to sit around Harper in the year he has. I think if he has a huge year, I think they've got a good fighting chance. But he's been down the last couple of years. A lot of big home runs, but low average, not really contributing to win ball games.
I'm going to tell you this right now. When they signed that contract, I told everybody that may go down as the worst contract in baseball history, and I still believe that. I still don't believe he's worth that much money and that long term.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, but the way deals are going these days, the market was there at the time. A lot of that stuff I believe comes to timing and who's available.
Right. No, that's true too. All right. Let's go to the NL Central. Just get it over with. Give me your homer pick.
Who are the teams now in the Central?
Well, you've got the Pirates, the Brewers, the Reds, the Cubs, and your St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, we'll go Cardinals. We'll go Cardinals on that. Cardinal Nation.
So.
I think I think it's going to be, a battle like it always is in the Central. And I think the Cardinals have enough to make that late run that they usually do when they have the good teams. And, it's potentially Waino and Yachty's last year. So there's going to be a lot of extra reason to win and a lot of extra reason to fight. And then you've got the hype of Arenado coming in and he's happy now, we would think, in St. Louis, and probably going to get extended and going to provide a lot of pop, but also protection for, Goldie or vice versa and make everybody else around him a little bit better.
Are you a little worried? And this is not because I'm a Cub fan. This is just because of baseball. I'm going to ask you this question. As a Cardinal fan, are you worried that your bullpen pitched more innings than your starting rotation in week 1 of the season? Just ask it as a baseball fan.
Always. I mean, the bullpen is always it's always in the back of my mind. I'm always hoping for 6 at least, and hopefully going into the 7th as a starter. But they're going to have to pick it up and play their part and do their jobs. And I think they've got the talent. It's just a matter of, can they get it done?
Well, we'll see. I'm going to take, believe it or not, I'm going to go with a homer pick too. I'm going to take the Cubs to win the division. I think it's a great pick right there by me. Jake Carey looked good. We got the offense. I'm not sure we have the pitching, to be honest with you, just on the real. If I'm being real, I think the Cardinals win this division this year. But I have to take the Cubs because I can't pick the Cardinals to win the division.
Okay, fair enough.
Just can't do it. Can't do it,
okay.
Captain. All right, who do you got out west? Is there any really discussion we need to make out west? A lot of people will say, the Padres are a better team. They got Blake Snell. They got Yu Darvish. But can they even still compete with the Dodgers?
They're definitely a better team, but they're not the Dodgers. I don't think this year they can catch the Dodgers. But in the next year or two, maybe we got to see if the Dodgers can even stay together. There's going to be a lot of people making a lot of money soon there, and I think Dodgers are your division winner for sure. And
yeah, I agree with you full bit. I think the Dodgers have the staff. You look at Buehler, Kershaw, Price, Urias, and Bauer. That's a formidable five, and five guys who like to take the ball every fifth day. You look at that lineup with Turner, Bellinger, Seager, and Betts. The list goes on in that lineup, and they got guys who can do a lot of different things. The Dodgers, I think, are still the team to beat in the National League, hands down.
I would agree.
Let's talk wild card. All right, who you got in your wild card out of the National League?
National League, I've got. It was tough. The East, I thought maybe you would have at least 3 out of them, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I've been going back and forth. So I'm going to actually go with your Phillies if Harper can have the year we're talking about. And then I'm going to go out west, and I think the Padres are going to have enough to make that that final spot if everybody can stay healthy. I mean, they've got a lot of good players out there. It's hard to overlook them, but it's also hard to really pick them. You know what I mean?
Yep, I do. Well, I'm going to stick in the National League East and go with the Nationals as one of my wild card teams. I think they're going to have the thump. I think they're going to have the pitching. I think it's going to come down. If the Phillies don't win the division, it's the Nats. So I like the Nationals getting in. And then I like the Cardinals.
Well, I do too. I picked them to win the division, though.
Yeah. I like the Cardinals getting in as well. How many wins? Right. How many wins do you think it takes to win the NL East? Not the Central. We talked Central last week, and we said that 88
the NL 92,
East. The NL East. You've got really 4 to 5 teams
win it.
to win.
I mean, to win it, you're probably, high 90s, because I just think they're going to beat up on each other so much. And there's only so many wins to go around. They're going to get most of their wins, in bulk out of the Central and the West, the bottom halves of those divisions. So high 90s, it's tough to win 100 games. So I'm going to go probably 97, 98, somewhere right in there.
That's a great point. I won't disagree with you, and you just made a great point. It's hard to win 100 games. Do the Dodgers win 100? They were on pace last year. They would have won 100 games if they had a full season. Do the Dodgers win 100 games this year?
I think they do because of the extra pitching and Bauer. I think they're going to get a few more wins. And, had they gone the whole year last year, they were on pace. I think they would have continued that. So, yeah, I think they're right there. 101, 102, something like that.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We'll give you our triple play trivia and on this date in baseball history. And we'll come back, and Kyle will tell us about his experience on opening day at Busch. I hope he got his nacho.
Good times.
You're listening to Full Count right here at dingerbats.com and on 103.5 ESPN Radio.
On April 10, 1947, Jackie Robinson became the first African American in the modern major leagues when the Dodgers purchased his contract from Montreal. On this date in 1962, Dodger Stadium, the first major league stadium privately financed since Yankee Stadium in 1922, opens in Chavez Ravine. With 52,564 fans on hand, the Dodgers inaugurate the $22 million facility with a 6-3 loss to the Reds. And finally, on this date in 1989, Ken Griffey Jr. hits his first Major League home run in Seattle's 6-5 win over the White Sox. He and his father, a reserve outfielder for the Reds, are the first father-son duo to play in the major leagues at the same time. That's your On This Date in Baseball History, presented by Ford of Tuscola. It's now time for your full count, triple play trivia question of the week. Shohei Ohtani hit a 2-run home run last Sunday against the White Sox. This week's triple play trivia question is, who was the last American League starting pitcher to homer against an American League team? Stay tuned to Full Count to find out the answer later on in the show.
Check out the all-new Ford of Tuscola. It's a small town feel with great big deals. Pre-owned vehicles starting at $24.95. Online at fordoftuscola.com or call 217-253-3353.
Back here on Full Count, Keith Gibson and my co-host Kyle Jerome. And Kyle had the privilege, I guess you can call it that, the privilege of going to the Cardinals home opener on Thursday afternoon with his father. And, of course, that is always special, Kyle, because I know what it's like to take trips to the ballpark with your old man, because I enjoyed it for 34 years straight to go to Wrigley. But tell us what it was like being there on opening day. It's always a big day for Cardinal fans in a city that loves its baseball. But for you, what did it mean to you to be there?
Oh, man, just a sense of normalcy, getting back to it. Been to several opening days, and the outside crowd was just as exciting as it has been. Kind of a football Sunday type feel with the tailgating out around the stadium, hanging out, everybody talking baseball, talking about how the Cardinals are going to win the division, and then going inside, getting to see the Clydesdales, that always gets you revved up. And then, the unique experience, it's going to kind of sit with me forever, just being in a semi-empty stadium. I mean, definitely something new, but didn't take away the buzz, man. It's baseball with fans. So it was great. Glad to share with my dad and a couple friends, and just looking to get back to the stadium a few more times this year, and hopefully with bigger crowds as this pandemic stuff goes away, hopefully.
Let's hope for that. And yeah, I'm sure it was. I'm sure it's a kind of an ominous feel, wasn't it? With
no doubt.
Just half stands full. But the big question everybody wants to know, did you get the ultimate nachos?
I did get the ultimate nachos before the game started. As soon as I got in, got to the concession stand, got that knocked out.
Well, that's the way to go. I'm proud.
Well, after talking about it last week, it's like I had to.
Well, good. All right. Well, I'm glad you got to go to opening day, and I'm glad you got to have fun with your old man as well, Randy, and he's a great guy. And we will take a quick break, come back, and we will wrap things up with our call to the pen, and we'll close up the show right here on Full Count.
This week's Full Count Triple Play Trivia question of the week was, who was the last pitcher before Shohei Ohtani of the Angels to hit a home run against an American League team? The answer? The Orioles' Rorik Harrison on October 3rd, 1972 versus the Cleveland Indians. That's your Triple Play Trivia question of the week. If you need the taste of Southern Illinois, then visit the all-new Bosco's Biscuits and Booze, home of the world champion daily special. 2 large, all-natural, juicy white meat chicken breast, a side of the famous What the Hell Biscuits, and a bucket of the cheapest beer in stock for only $6.99. Located at the corner of Old Milwaukee Boulevard, next to the Primo Hooer Hotel. Bosco's Biscuits and Booze. It's world champion food and cheap-ass booze.
Making the call to the pen here on Full Count. We are closing up the show, week 2 here. Keith Gibson, Kyle Jerome. And Kyle, we've had a great show. We've talked about Major League Baseball moving the All-Star game from Atlanta, hot Atlanta, down to Colorado and Coors Field. We've talked about the hot start for Shohei Ohtani and the Angels and Akil Baddoo of the Tigers. We've talked about your Cardinals being little bullies and starting to brawl.
Easy now.
Starting to about the brawl between them and the Reds last week. But you also had Nick Carey on, and thank Nick for joining us, of course, from the American Ballpark Roadtrip. And we've also did take our picks. So I think we came down to a lot of agreements on take your picks. But I think we know that there's a lot of divisions that are pretty wide open too, and health could change a lot of things.
Always, yeah. I mean, staying healthy throughout the years is make or break for so many teams, and especially the pitching staff. So, but yeah, I think everything goes well and the guys have the seasons that they're slated to have, then I think we're pretty close.
Next week, Kyle, we've got a big guest coming on. He's a good friend of yours, but he's also a friend of Cardinal Nation. That's right. We've got first base coach Stubby Clapp joining us of the St. Louis Cardinals, and excited to sit down with Stubby and talk to him, not just about baseball, but about life in general as well.
Yeah, very appreciative to have him on, taking time out of his season, busy work schedule, and, chatting with us about some baseball and life. And, great guy, great baseball man. So I think everybody will enjoy listening to him.
Yep, I think so. I think Cardinal Nation, if you tune in, you'll be impressed with Stubby as well. So, Kyle, you got anything to wrap things up this week on?
No, man, just great week of baseball, great show, and thank all the listeners out there, and stay with us. We got a lot more coming, and great guests, great topics, and feel free to interact with us on social media.
That's right, definitely that. And you can always visit dingerbats.com to pick up your Full Count merchandise, your T-shirts there, and you can also follow us on Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon Music. You can ask Alexa, and Kyle didn't believe me till he found out himself. You can ask Alexa, say, Alexa, I want to listen to Full Count podcast, and it plays, does it not?
Yes, it does.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. But you can follow us there, of course, at dingerbats.com. And then every Saturday morning, you can listen to us on 103.5 ESPN Radio down in Southern Illinois. So for my co-host, Kyle Jerome, I am the round mound of sound, Keith Gibson. Thank you for joining us this week on Full Count. Have a great week, everybody, and play ball!
This Saturday morning, wake up with Full Count on 103.5 ESPN as they welcome in St. Louis Cardinals first base coach Stubby Clapp. They also go round the horn with baseball's hottest news, and they explain the Rule 5 draft in Major League Baseball. Join hosts Keith Gibson and Kyle Drone on Full Count Saturday morning, 7 a.m. on 103.5 ESPN Radio.